Okay, today's topic is Indiana economic development and housing market. So I'd like to introduce Charlie Shook, who is a realtor in Indiana. Charlie, would you take over from here?
I'd be glad to.
Okay.
Thank you, Miki and Akiko, who can't be with us tonight. We really are honored to have the opportunity to talk to this group. I have to admit, I'm biased. I'm an Indiana guy. I've lived about 10 years of my life in Michigan to the north. But since I know I'm biased, we have tried to keep our comments driven by data, as opposed to me just gushing about what a great place it is to live. So just bear with us. Joining me tonight is my cousin and business partner, Steve Shook. We are with Coldwell Banker Shook, a 5-generation real estate brokerage company in north central Indiana. I'm equally happy to have So Young On with us, who is a broker with our company, lives in Indianapolis, and commutes up to Lafayette for both real estate and other employment purposes. And So Young has helped us become better acquainted with SK Hynix, which will be breaking ground, we're hoping, in a year or so on a chip manufacturing plant in West Lafayette, Indiana. And we got some good news today, if I've got the data right, that the U.S. government approved about a $250 million grant to help SK launch their operations here. And let's go ahead and advance. I'm going to spend some time today talking about the state of Indiana from an economic development perspective, and then drill down to a local economy and local real estate. So if we could advance. To give you a little bit of background, Vicky, are you able to move those slides forward? Thank you. Yeah, one more slide, please.
One more.
Indiana, for those of you who don't know Indiana, it's definitely a state that's not known by anybody. We are truly in the heart of the Midwest, the breadbasket of our country. We are an area that is blessed with really good soils, so we provide great efficiency in the way of crop manufacturing. But as is said by a local entertainment organization, there's more than corn in Indiana. Lafayette is, or I should say, the state capital of Indiana is marked there in the middle of Indianapolis. We are about an hour northwest of Indianapolis, and then about 2 hours southeast of Chicago. Well positioned to get to a lot of places. If we could advance, please. I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about the demographics of our state. Last year, we had 6.9 million folks who called them Hoosiers. That's up by 1% from the thick of the COVID years. I have to admit, I think our census numbers in 2020 are a bit suspect, just because it was so difficult to do a meaningful head count while we were sheltering in place. That population puts us ranked number 17th among our peer states. And Indiana represents about 2% of the country's population. Our demographics are broad, fairly indicative of a Midwestern state. 84% of our residents are Caucasian, 10% African American, 9% Hispanic. Frankly, I thought the number would be larger than that. 3% from the Asian communities, and 1% Native American. If we could advance, 50% of those who call themselves Hoosiers fall into either the baby boomer, which would be, or the Gen X category, which would be maybe 20 years below me. So we are in kind of the thick of the bell curve of population in America as the baby boomers begin to age, and the generations beyond begin to be more of a member of our workforce. We have 3.4 million members of our state workforce, and are happy to have an unemployment rate of 3.8%. we always need to be replenishing jobs in the state, but it's also important to us that we raise, retain, and educate valued employees for those folks who call Indiana their business home. Our GDP last year, the state manufactured $4.1 billion in product and services. That ranked us 19th in the country. And the sectors are fairly well distributed. Manufacturing is the largest at 27%, healthcare at 9%, retail, professional, and construction fall from there. And I will give you some more specific numbers on our community when we move forward. If we could advance in those sectors, manufacturing ranks us 12th in the 50 states, which is pretty good when you consider we only have 2% of the employees, or 2% of the population. Construction's 14th in the state, I think, which reflects a fairly robust business environment where we are either expanding our employers or welcoming new employers to other communities. And then another we rank 15th in professional, scientific, educational, knowledge-based type employers. We can advance. Let's talk a little bit advanced manufacturing. We have the highest concentration of manufacturing jobs in the U.S. 25% of Indiana's economic output is from the manufacturing sector. We have the second highest. We are the second highest state in the production of vehicles, automobiles, RVs, and trucks. We have 9,000 manufacturing employers, obviously a few OEMs, but many vendors that provide either services or parts for the products that are manufactured. We have 5 original equipment automotive manufacturers in our state. General Motors in Fort Wayne, Subaru in Lafayette, Honda, if I remember correctly, in Shelbyville, Toyota just north of Evanston, and then a couple of fairly large, or at least dominant, members of the RV manufacturing business in Northeast Indiana. $1.3 million vehicles, trucks, cars, RVs were manufactured and assembled in our state last year. I am going to be a little biased here, but I think we have 5 world-renowned research universities in this little sleepy state called Indiana. Indiana University to our south in Bloomington, a Big Ten university, liberal arts flavor with a very good medical, business, and law school. Butler University, private college in Indianapolis. Rose-Hulman, a strong engineering college in Terre Haute. Purdue in our backyard. I'll tell you more about Purdue a little bit later. Then, of course, Notre Dame in South Bend. We are a right-to-work state. I'm only accustomed to working in a right-to-work state. I kind of view it that I need to perpetually earn my employment, and I cannot slack off. That it's a privilege to be employed. We have a 4.9% corporate state income tax. Let's talk a little bit about the domestic investment statistics. 6% of our Indiana residents were born outside of America, which ranks us 22nd nationwide. In Greater Lafayette, that's 12% of our community. And that's really a reflection of the faculty that are recruited to teach and research at Purdue University. Metropolitan Indianapolis is 10%, due primarily to a strong regional health center and one of the larger medical schools in the country. In 2022, the state had 25,000 student and exchange visitors and another 21,000 who were here on temporary visas. So what anecdotally have we learned that draws foreign direct investment to Indiana? And these are kind of soft, squishy reasons, but I think they're valid. One is we have a number of mid-sized communities. I mentioned Metropolitan Indianapolis, our state capital to my south. They have a population of 2.1 million, certainly large by our standards, but not huge compared to other 20 largest cities in our country. Fort Wayne, home of the GM assembly plant, has 423,000 citizens. We're at 390,000 in Evansville at 358. So some really rock solid kind of mid-size communities. I have to be honest, I lived in Detroit for 10 years after college. Had a job I thoroughly enjoyed. I liked living in Detroit, but the opportunity to work with family here in Lafayette was too intriguing for me to pass up. I moved back to Indiana in my mid-30s. I thought I would be bored silly. I recorded the entire Summer Olympics in 1988, thinking I'll have nothing to do, and I never watched one episode. So I have found the quality of life as at that time a younger individual, now as a more senior individual, to meet my expectations. We have worked hard to develop and incubate an industrial ecosystem that is compatible with many of the industries that either seek out opportunities here or actually choose to put an operation in our community. We have found that a lot of the organizations that move here do so because they want to have access to the intellectual capital of our faculty at Purdue University, Indiana University, Rose-Hulman, and Terre Haute, access to the opportunity to help them grow their commercial patents on findings they had patented, and to be a part of their research. And then finally, and again, this is in my opinion, but I think we've been blessed by a very stable and pro-business leadership from our state house in Indianapolis. And that covers both the R's and the D's. We've had strong business leaders from the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. We are nearing the end of our governor's second 4-year term, and he will step down in December, and we are about to select our next governor. It will be a sad day for me. I think Governor Holcomb has been nothing but good for the quality of life of our community and the pro-business stance that he takes, and just a very easy person to talk to. The governor has endorsed or delegated the development, the nuts and bolts of developing business in our state to the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, very similar to the IDCs that you see in other states. Many programs are offered to help foster entrepreneurial growth, recruitment of new employees, improving quality of life measures in our communities. We were talking about this beforehand. It's more than just a job. You know, you bring your family here and you need to have a culture that's going to be inviting, welcoming, and compatible with their perhaps what I might just call character or moral standards. And he created in 2021 what he calls the Ready Grant Program. And it was $500 million dedicated to 17 economic regions. So had the courage to not only allocate $500 million, but said to these regions, you seek out and bring to me grant opportunities that are worthy for approval. And he said, we want those funding opportunities to fall into endeavors that would improve the quality of life of a community, the quality of place, and then the quality of opportunity or the business environment. So we have approved and funded just a nose short of 500 grants that total $500 million. Of those grants, 207, and if you could, there you advance the slide, I'd appreciate it. 217 projects were those in the area of quality of life. Another 174 would be quality of place. And I'll just give you an example of quality of place. You know, we have rural communities that do not have access to the broadband services that I take for granted. So that might be an example of funding opportunities to accelerate the expansion of fiber network capabilities to some of the smaller communities. Program was so successful that last year the governor allocated another $500 million for Ready 2, and we are in the process of seeking out those opportunities. And just as an example, in our geographic region, Steve and I were invited and proud to play a role in ferreting out those grant applications and determining which were more worthy. So I appreciate the fact that it was a real grassroots effort, trusting the regions to know what's best for them. So we are about to embark on the second $500 million. The real estate environment in Indiana is attractive, but certainly reflects the ups and downs of the national economy. Year to date in Indiana, we've seen our unit sales decline by 14% compared to the same, and year to date for me is through June 30th. Same period last year, driven almost exclusively by the interest rate environment that many people find difficult, and perhaps a bit discouragement that the Fed has not reduced the discount rate yet this year. I happen to trust our Federal Reserve. I do not want inflation. I do not want to go into a recession. So I'm willing to kind of suck it up in the industry and recognize that these higher rates to slow the real estate economy down a little bit has been effective, and I'm willing to ride it out, at least for a while. The median sale price, and I should say of the 92 counties in the state, 36 of them actually had year-to-year gains this year compared to the first 2 quarters of last year. And that borderline includes Greater Lafayette, where our unit sales have almost been identical, 24 to 23. Our median sale price is $72,900, up 7% from the year before. I think some would argue that's very affordable housing. It's just what we're used to. And just to give you an idea of the activity of the market, and if you could go one more slide further, I'd appreciate it. If you take a look at the activity of our environment, 8,900 houses were put on the market in June in our state. Of those 8,900, 26 were sold, received accepted offers within 3 days, and 50% within 10 days. So in spite of me saying the market's a little soft, that quick sale time creates a real frenzy and is an indication that we need more properties to sell. June of this year, 41% of listings that hit the market did have a price reduction. In the years following COVID, we just didn't even know what a price reduction looked like. And the average days on market was 11 days versus 10 last year. To give you a point of reference in the depth of the recession, and many of you are not old enough to remember, but the recession in 2008 through 2011, our market time was on average about a half a year. So this is brilliant and robust compared to those days. I would say a very healthy and stable residential real estate market in our state. And if we could advance, I'll drill down to Greater Lafayette, and we're defining Greater Lafayette as Tippecanoe County, one of 92 counties, and then the counties that are on our perimeter. We saw unit sales drop by just a 0.5% June of this year compared to last year. Sales volume rose by 7%, and the average sale price grew by 8%. And our average sale price is just a few $1,000s higher than the state's. Our average days on market increased by 11%, which happens to be 1 day. In my opinion, I am not anticipating a correction in real estate prices in our state or in our country, but I certainly can say within our state. I just do not see a diminishment of demand or a rush of supply hitting the market that would cause us to see a change in the supply and demand equations. And I would argue that in our community, we have been told that $280,000 of an average sale price is very affordable compared to other markets we compete with in the state, north side of Indianapolis, Bloomington, but other markets, both domestically and worldwide, that we recruit from, they come kind of eager to be able to buy more housing for their dollar, which would lead me to believe that perhaps the price appreciation we've seen in the last few years is simply a favorable correction to bring our value up to where it should be compared to other markets. I am not worried about the balloon popping, if you will, in prices in residential real estate, certainly in our area and in our state. Tell you a little bit about Lafayette. Again, I said it's Tippecanoe County and the surrounding counties. 87% of our population, I think I mentioned you, the population is around 380, 390 for the Tippecanoe County and surrounding areas. 87% of those members are in our county. The major economic driver in our community is Purdue University and its 50,000 students that will be coming back this next weekend. But really just the amazing research that's done and the quality of students that it attracts really changes the flavor of our community. It is a real pleasure, and Steve has children, so young have children, to raise young people in a community that has such a diverse population, both based on religion and race, but country of national origin. Purdue is on an upswing. It's had good leadership. Its last two presidents has done a lot to work hand in hand with the Indiana Economic Development Commission and our local leaders to bring some fairly prominent employers to our community and adjacent to Purdue University, names like Rolls-Royce, GE Jet Manufacturing, Schweitzer Engineering, and then most recently SK Hynix, who will be building chips in our community. And I may be missing some. Steve or So Young, jump in if there are some recent additions to our workforce that I've missed. This slide is a graph of population. The only thing I'm going to kind of glean from this to share with you is we have seen steady growth since the turn of the century, even through the difficult times our country went through in 2008 through 2011. I don't know if we actually saw population decrease in 20 and 21. I think it is driven more by a difficult environment to conduct a credible census. We do our census every 10 years here. My guess is that's the negative blip in the equation. We have So Young pulled together a really interesting graph of employment by sector within our community. If you'll bear with me, I kind of clustered things together. We have about 104,000 workers in our community. 20,600 of those workers are in manufacturing. And then another 45,000 are in what I would call the professional category. And that would include educators, researchers, members of our healthcare industry, knowledge-based employers that are part of the spin-offs from the university, and then professional jobs like ours. Good balance. Guess what I'm proud of is that our community has employers that will allow an advanced manufacturing worker sufficient money to raise a family, provide healthcare benefits, put kids through college. And it's really important that we just continue to raise the average wage of our employers. Only so our average wage is in keeping with other communities within the state. Housing. The Wall Street Journal published a report last year that identified Greater Lafayette as the #1 emerging market in the U.S. And you know, when you get a nice compliment like that, you just don't ask a lot of questions. None of us fully understand what those metrics were, why we were #1 last year and not #1 the year before. But if nothing else, if we could draw from it that we have a well-esteemed business publication that has identified our community as at least worthy of a lot of respect, and perhaps more than that. There was a recent publication I saw on a less than sophisticated news feed that ranked the school corporation in our community in the top 25 in the country. So again, I don't, we could be 10 or 20, I don't know, but to be in the top 25 across the country says a lot for the quality of our school system, but probably importantly, the character and fabric of the households that send kids there. They just value education and they support the efforts done by the professional educators. Again, and I'm going to advance through real estate sales. I kind of touched on them earlier. Our market has been incredibly steady and only recently seen price appreciation. Where we really could use some help is in the building of new houses and apartments. We could use some more buildable lots. And Mickey and I were talking about at the beginning of the session, if we are really going to make housing more affordable and be able to create more of it, we're going to have to, I'm going to kind of say our regulators, and I have to admit that, they're part of my life, would be well served if they would reduce slightly some of the regulatory impositions they create with regard to density, parking per bedroom, and the inclusion of some of the municipal expenses in the cost of the developer. So we're working hard to make sure our housing continues to be affordable. We're working hard that we can increase the size of our new construction inventory, but it's a team effort, and it's going to involve marriages between both the business sector and the governmental sector. So, and this is measured by building permits. And, I have to say this goes back to the 1990s, and our community has almost grown by 75%. But the number of building permits we issued isn't that much larger than 2000. So we have room to grow in this area. And there are a lot of us who are working with the builders to help make that possible. So once again, thank you, So Young and Steve, for helping with this presentation, but most of all for you all for being so attentive and giving us an opportunity to boast a little bit about the state of Indiana. I'll close, and we'd be happy to answer questions if that would be appropriate at this point.
If we can thank you, Charlie. And if you have any question, we can ask Charlie now. Everyone okay?
And if you think of some afterwards, please send an email to Mickey, and I'd be happy to respond in writing.
Okay, thank you, Charlie. And the Lafayette area, that is the area that Subaru has a plant there, and we have introduced investment opportunity there. And now Charlie introduced the area, the market about the area. So I'm really happy to hear that slides, the market information. And now we will have Charlie, would you like to talk about the more business about with the SK, we are expecting?
Yeah, I will do my best. I invite Steve or So Young to join me, but we were thrilled as an underestimate at the news that SK had agreed to build a $2 billion manufacturing plant in West Lafayette, the home of Purdue, 2 miles from where Steve and I live. We were excited that decision was supported by the Federal CHIPS Act, which provides funding to encourage the development of chip manufacturing. We have had an opportunity to have a couple of brief conversations with the domestic HR department and recognize that our community has a year or so to gear up to provide the appropriate welcome for the first round of Koreans who will be joining us probably early on in the construction activity, site development, those types of things, and then a little bit beyond that to help integrate the first team of management into our community. And that will take a lot of different shapes and sizes, but I certainly can look at the SIA, the Subaru introduction into our community. It meant we found ourselves building and slightly revising the housing stock to reflect some of the cultural and religious desires of the Japanese members of the management team who joined us. It gave us an opportunity to really backfill on some of the support services that employees of Subaru would need, which could include, but not limited to, restaurants, entertainment venues, recreation venues, and then within the schools, and that's the easiest job, is just integrating the young folks into our schools. For them, it's frankly a slam dunk. They can adjust better than some of us older folks. It's been a successful venture. Subaru has grown. It was initially Subaru Isuzu. Subaru had an opportunity to take over the space occupied by Isuzu, and this has been a very successful operation. There are not many Midwestern cities where probably the most prolific vehicle you'll see on the streets is one of the many Subaru brands, whether it's the Forester or whatever. Steve's father was one of the first to get a Subaru. He's a car guy and really encouraged me to follow him. So we've got about a year to ramp up, which is not as much as we'd like, but we see the need to nurture the Korean food markets and to build some housing, multifamily housings that more reflects the lifestyle that the Korean community will want to find here.
Okay. Thank you very much, Charlie.
You're welcome. Thank you. And for us, it's good evening. I know for you, it's good morning.
Yes.
So thanks everybody for adjusting your schedule.
Thank you. Okay. So next is our current housing market in our area. And we can start by Dublin, Ohio. Patricia, are you there? Oh, sorry. I don't think Patricia is joining, so we can skip this slide. And I think this chart will be the same as the last meeting, so we will skip this slide. We will skip Ohio. And Alabama, and Natsuki, are you here? Okay, she's not here too, and this is from May, so this is the same as the last month, so I'm sorry, we have to skip Alabama too. Okay, next is Novi, Michigan. And I believe Makiko is here. Makiko, would you like to take over?
Sure. Yeah. Hi, everyone. This is Makiko from Michigan. So, the average Novi, Michigan home value is $451,296. Is up 5.1% over the past year, and goes to pending around 4 days.
Okay, thank you. And next. Oh, sorry. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, it's okay. So the month of inventory, which means if no homes came in the market, how long would it take for all the homes to be sold? It's between 1 and 3. It's pretty very hot, the sellers market. Yes, still, yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm done. I'm good.
Okay, thank you, Makiko. Okay, next slide is Kentucky. David or Yuki, are you here? No. Okay. Okay, now we can do for the Kansas. Joshua, would you like to take over?
Yeah, hi guys, my name is Joshua from Kansas City. We're in Kansas City, especially in Johnson County. We're still a seller's market. I would say it's a little bit balanced, but May and June were kind of that season where people are going to graduation parties. They're traveling for those kind of graduation parties or traveling for vacation because the kids are out of school. So because of that, it kind of affected this numbers a little bit, but in June, so average sale price increased. I like to look at year-to-date numbers. So increased by 3.7%. And the days on the market, it says 40 days, but this is also taking in consideration of new construction as well. So realistically speaking, I would say this is about half that, so about 20 days. Which is kind of weird right now because anything under $600,000, it's selling quickly, and a lot of times it sells over the weekend. And in between $600,000 to $800,000, it's kind of weird how it's way longer than that. It's about 2 weeks. And then anything over that, between 800 to 1,500,000, it sells fast again. And then after 1.5 million, again, it slows down. So it's a weird market that we're in right now. And that also is impacted by the inventory, where it's still in a low inventory right now in Kansas. Thank you.
Thank you, Joshua. We will talk about Arizona. Chris, are you here?
Yes, hello. Hello, everyone. I'm Christopher Wells. I'm in Phoenix. We also had the CHIPS Act played a big part here in Arizona with support for a couple of new fabs built by Taiwan Semiconductor. And there's a lot of Japanese supply chain involvement with TSMC here in Arizona. So we're excited about the potential for Japanese companies to bring their employees over. The next slide, please. So this is the greater Phoenix housing market in June, Maricopa County, slightly tipping towards a seller's market. Not far from a balanced market, though. 4.31 months of inventory. List price to sale price 98.5%. So not a whole lot of room for negotiation. And the median sale price $510,000. So housing's more expensive out here in Arizona, definitely. Okay, next slide, please. And just here's the amount of inventory you can see from 21 and 22, not much inventory at all, and it's been gradually increasing. where we are here now in April, about a little over 4 months supply of inventory. So there are more houses, available to buy than there were in the heyday of very low interest rates. Okay, thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'd like to introduce you our expats movement. And okay, we can start from Dublin, Ohio. We have one family looking for rental homes, and his budget is 3,400. And we have two single person. They are going to apartment, and their budgets are between 2,000 to 2,500. Novi, Michigan, we have one family, and his budget is 2,700, and one couple, his budget is 2,200. And we have two single person, their budget is 1,500. And we don't have any family who is looking for in Huntsville, Alabama right now. And we have Fisher, which is in Indianapolis, Indiana in Indiana State. And we have one single person. He is looking for apartment. His budget is 1,500. And we have one single person who is looking for an apartment in Lexington, Kentucky. And we have two families who are looking for a house in Kansas City, Kansas. And their budgets are 2,800. And we have four single persons, and their budget is $1,550. And we will have investment opportunity in Kansas City, and we are target the sales price is up to $400,000, and the rent will be $2,800. So if you are interested in this opportunity, please let me know, and I can introduce Joshua to you. And here is the investment opportunity for of the apartment, and Subaru is still looking for this type of apartment that we can take care. And this is just an example, and it's 47 units apartment building, and it's already fully occupied, and current cap is 7%. And if we have any investor who can purchase this apartment, and we will change the current tenant to Subaru's experts. Once the room is big, once a tenant is moving out, we can place the Subaru expert into it, so we can changing every year. Here is the average price of the investment property price. So you can take a look, and please let me know if you have any question, or if you have interested in any investment opportunity, you can contact me. We can skip this one. And this one is landlord representation service. We have, of course, once we introduce investment opportunity, we can place tenant, and this is the service about the service. This is what we do for the service. Okay, our next meeting will be on September 3rd, and the time is the same as today, and 7 p.m. Eastern time. And I think we didn't change the topic, but topic will be different than today, and the Zoom link will be the same. I will send you the invitation once we know the next topic. I'm sorry. Okay. I think this is the last slide. Okay. If you have any questions, you can stay, and we are open to answer the question. And I'm sorry. So we can finish this meeting today. Thank you for joining. And if you have any question, you can just stay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Bye.
And have
Bye-bye.
a good
Thank
day.
you.
Bye.
Have a good evening or good morning.